Let us begin the Panchama Veda with this sutra. Tava kathamritam tapta jivanam kubi bhiriritam kalmashapaham sravana mangalam srimadatatam bhubi grinanti e bhuridajana. We were discussing about the three different types of joy. This gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, you will wonder, I came to know the founder of this ashrama. He started in 1930 and every Tuesday used to give the classes on the gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Of course, it was in the city, proper Chicago. So he used to get some students. So from then onwards, this is coming down from 1930 onwards without stop. This gospel of Sri Ramakrishna is because the people, they get benefit out of it. And we are also continuing with that tradition. And in the gospel they say, your words, tavo katha. Your katha means the words, advices. They are just like the nectar. They give us the solace, the source of joy, the guidance. Here, as I was telling the last time, we were discussing about the three different types of joy. The one, the Sanskrit scholar, very famous scholar in those days, his name is Shashodhar. The Shashodhar came and Sri Ramakrishna was very happy to talk to him, and he was discussing about Vishayananda, Bhajanananda and Brahmananda. The three different joys. See, this is the speciality of Sri Ramakrishna. He goes to the very specific. Now the goal of human life is joy, Ananda. Without Ananda, we cannot do anything. I think a few days, 2-3 days before, I went to a devotee's house. In his parlor talk, he invited some of his friends and neighbors. And there, I was talking about the goal of the human life. All young couples with children, they're all there happy to enjoy the company. I could see this joy. The joy is the goal. Now the joy has three different types. One is Vishaya. Vishaya means the object of the worldly things. I can translate it as the physical joy. I am eating, I am seeing a movie, I am talking to my friends, I am visiting a place with my friends. So all these things gives me great joy. But this joy is very, very temporary. The goal, that though it is a joy, but it is very temporary. But the question is, why the human being wants the joy? Why this is the only goal? Whatever we do, it is only the joy. The goal is the joy. Because we have come from joy. That is why in the Upanishad it says, Anandvat khalu imani bhutani jayante. From the joy, from the bliss, from the ananda, all these beings was born. So the creator is that. So our originality is going back to that pure joy. And that is the reason we cannot stop without getting the joy, and we are going to everywhere we try to find out this joy. This is the main thing. Whatever we do at the back of our mind, only one thing is left, that is how to get the joy out of it. Then the picnic we go only to get the joy. Whatever we do only to get the joy. Sri Ramakrishna is mentioning about it to that scholar. Now we will see how the scholar, though he was very famous, but they only read some books and then explain on that. So Pandit, the Sanskrit scholar, Shashodhar, afterwards, she will say to Swami Sri Ramakrishna, I didn't go so deep about it. I never. So this is the main reason. What is that Vishayananda? Ashtabakra Samhita. You know that Ashtabakra Muni, the very famous Muni whose body was in 8 different places, was little deformed. But he was a great sage. He is telling over here, Ayasat sakalo dukhi nainam janati kaschana anenaiva upadeshena dhanya prapnoti nibritam. Ashtavakra Samhita 16 and 3, 16 by 3, that is the sloka he mentioned. What is that? This material joy, this Vishayananda, Ashtavakra Rishi was telling to the Raja Janaka. Janaka was also a great scholar and the realized soul. So they were not, Ashtavakra was not giving the advice, but they were exchanging the views. He was telling, see, this is the problem. The people cannot understand. The root of all misery is desire for worldly enjoyments. That is a very peculiar, and in the Upanishad it says, as if the Creator, the Father, has made our indriyas, all our senses in such a way that they always try to go out. They never like to remain within our mind, within ourselves. So this is the main problem. Ashtavakra Rishi is also telling, the root of all misery is desire for worldly enjoyments. Surprisingly, no one tried to understand this. He is blessed who understands and practices this truth. Why blessed? Because the real anand, the real joy, the permanent joy, that he will get if he can understand this thing whichever we see with our 5 senses. These are all temporary and cannot give us the permanent joy. This is the reason Sri Krishna also in Bhagavad Gita hinted. Sri Krishna is giving the hint in a very poetical way, Ya Nisha Sarva Bhutanam Tasyam Jagrati Sanyami Yasyam Jagrati Bhutani Sa Nisha Pashyato Muni. So this is a very peculiar way. It says, when the worldly people are thinking that these are the things we should be very careful, in that, those who have understood the truth, they are completely silent, as if sleeping. And opposite thing, when the worldly people, those who think that the worldly things are very important, when they are sleeping, are not interested about the spiritual thing, there, some people are very eager, as if awake constantly. They are awake in that where the worldly people are not. In our daily life, those who are trying to become a little spiritual, they understand it again and again, everywhere. Anywhere, some entertainment, some food, some joy, some social, all thousands of people will go. Even they will purchase the ticket and then go. They spend some money to go there, and they will be dancing, jumping, frisking, drinking, eating, and afterwards vomiting, lying down somewhere. That this is very peculiar. But people like. But where if you can go and sit and contemplate and listen to the holy words, people are not interested. So that's why in the Krishna also telling in his time, this is the nisha, the darkness, ignorance. Darkness means ignorance. Night means ignorance. That this ignorance, the people of the worldly minded are ignorant about the spiritual life, as if they are sleeping, and those who are awake, the spiritual people, they are not at all interested about the worldly life, worldly enjoyment, because they know after this the misery is coming, the suffering, the sorrow is going to come. So this is the reason. These are the only two things. I always wonder, of course, all the time mixing up. But still I wonder, what is the spiritual life? This awareness and nothing else. The ultimate, the God realization and these and that, what is all those? This awareness. If you have the 24 hours, every moment of your life aware about it, you are a God realized person. And what will happen? We will come to know about this from the scripture. What happens? And second stage is, as Sri Ramakrishna mentioned, Bhajanananda. One is Vishayananda, then Brahmananda. In between, Sri Ramakrishna is giving the second stage that is called Bhajan Ananda. What is that bhajan? Singing the glories of God. That means remembering God. When I am remembering God, thinking about God, pondering about God, discussing about God, reading about God, God means high spiritual values, I get joy. Some of our devotees, they are well placed in the society and very busy people, but still they'll be going on reading very high scriptures, very difficult scriptures. The Vedantic books, they'll be reading and getting the enjoyment in that, and they'll be marking, asking question, Bhajanananda. So the mind has gone little upper level. So Swami Vivekananda said, so the mind you cannot keep constantly fixed on the spiritual level. This is very difficult. So it is better to have the intellectual level. So I have given this. One is physical joy, another is intellectual joy. When you are reading the arguments, the how things are going on, they are giving the arguments. Sometimes when the Sundays, when we are reading the Bhagavatam, the arguments, the why a human being is called as God, the why a human being, their mind should be focused on God, etc. So these things with the argument, this is called Bhajanananda. And sometimes we know that when some people are so good in singing the bhajans, when they sing the bhajans and we sit over there and the mind is completely immersed in that, we get joy. No doubt in that. And it is much better joy than the worldly life. But what happens? That is also temporary. Why? Because it is not fixed on our realization. That's not based on our realization. After some time, it goes down once again back. So this is much higher, but still not the highest goal. The goal of human life is to get Brahmananda. That is exactly what Sri Ramakrishna is mentioning. The bliss after their realization of Brahman. Now here is the question. We do not know what is Brahman. And obviously, how I will know what will happen after the Brahman? It's all conception. Brahman, all-pervading consciousness. About the consciousness, we have a vague knowledge. What is the consciousness? Now, I am conscious when I am awake. When I am sleeping, am I not conscious? When I am sleeping, but still not seeing any dreamless sleep, still I am conscious. But I am not aware about that consciousness. So this is, what is consciousness? It is all-pervading, all the time, without change. But we don't have much clear idea about this consciousness. And we have to realize that consciousness. It's called Brahmananda. The great Rishi Vashishta, she was advising Sri Ramachandra. Then he said, what is this Brahmananda? Sri Rama was listening to his guru, Vashishta. Purne manasi sampurnam jagat sarvam sudha rasaihi. Purne manasi sampurnam. Very simple Sanskrit. The mind is full, sampurnam, full. Purne manasi sampurnam. What? Jagat sarvam sudha rasaihi. This whole world that we see, the different varieties, is full of joy, because the joy, the bliss, the Brahman that has manifested in different names and forms. Upanat gudha padasya. Then he is giving an example. Upanat gudha padasya yatha charmavritaiva bhu. We don't need a shoe when the whole world is covered with a carpet. So if we are having a world completely covered by the carpet, so we don't need the shoe. The charma, skin this means. But suppose it is covered with the carpet, we can walk anywhere. Similarly, when we are having the joy, and I see that joy present in every different being, that is Brahmananda. That is Brahmananda. That is why Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna is telling, once you get that joy, you will forget about all other joys. It is so much joy that it will pour from every point of your body. It's tremendous joy. Those who realize that, they cannot contain the tremendous joy, so the physical body drops up within 21 days. So that is the Yoga Vashishta, he says, after the realization of the Brahman, one feels supreme bliss. Every moment of his life, there remains not a drop of misery. If the whole world becomes covered with carpet, one can walk without the shoes. Shankaracharya, in a small line, half a line, he mentioned that, Nahi tripte param phalam. Tripti, satisfaction. Nahi tripti param. Param means higher. Phalam. There is nothing left beyond the satisfaction. When I am completely satisfied, I am satisfied. I don't need anything. So that's called Nahi Tripte Param Phalam. There are so many stories. And it says that Alexander and the Indian saint, they had a conversation. Alexander wanted to give everything to the saint, and he was requesting him to come with him to Macedonia. So that is the place where from he went. But the saint told, no, I am completely satisfied. Why should I go to your place? So offering of the king and offering of the worldly enjoyments, honor, nothing got the temptation was there. Why? Because he got the complete satisfaction. What more I want? Sometimes some people, after eating, if they come, if you offer them the food, they say, no, I'm sorry, but I could enjoy this, but this moment I am full. It's just like that. when you are completely full, when you are completely satisfied, and that is called Brahmananda. Nahi tripte param phalam. That is what Shankaracharya mentioned, and we can understand from that. And this here, Sri Ramakrishna, he is mentioning the joy of worldly enjoyment, joy of worship, and the joy of God realization. These are the three. Now, what is this joy of worldliness? Is the last and goal. What is the joy of worship one enjoy while chanting the name and glories of God? And the joy of Brahman is the joy of God vision. That is what Sri Ramakrishna is telling. After experiencing the joy of God vision, the rishis of the old times went beyond all rules and conventions. Why? Because rules and conventions, I am a rishi, I am practicing this, I am not supposed to do this, I am not supposed to do that. All these rules and conventions, they go beyond, because for them everything is nothing but the manifestation of the same God. Now, Sri Ramakrishna is giving an example of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is very interesting. He is telling Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is also Sri Ramakrishna himself was having. But here Sri Ramakrishna is mentioning about the Chaitanya. He was having three spiritual states. The inmost, the semi-conscious, and the conscious. The conscious means then he could talk, then he could feel, then he could eat. So that is the condition. Semi-conscious, in the life of Sri Ramakrishna, again and again we have seen, there is a half conscious, there is a half mind in the spiritual world, half in the worldly. Master Moshe went to meet him in the once evening, and he saw Sri Ramakrishna was sitting, eyes are open. When he was talking with Sri Ramakrishna, he was giving the answer, but as if he is not listening properly, as if he is not looking to him, his mind was somewhere else. That is the condition of the semi-conscious, and inmost it goes to samadhi. And in that condition, he is not in a condition to talk or express or anything. Now Hazra, now he is asking that Pandit, so your doubts are now solved? Because the Pandit was raising this question. The Hazra told, Sri Ramakrishna immediately, he never wanted to put him down because he is a scholar. So this is the speciality of Sri Ramakrishna. Oh, I have defeated you, you do not know, so I am giving you the advices. Never. So immediately Sri Ramakrishna intervened before the Pandit gave any answer. Hazra, like us, now your doubt has been all cleared. Now immediately Sri Ramakrishna intervened and said, what is samadhi? He took that to the discussion. It is the complete merging of the mind in God consciousness. See, this is the beauty of the gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. It's a simple word, one or two sentences, but it gives the complete idea. Those who are sincerely trying to study about the yoga, they know it's so difficult to give the definition of samadhi. What is samadhi? See here, the Sri Ramakrishna gives complete merging of the mind in God consciousness. Now what is the mind? We know that Indian tradition, the mind has four different groups, we can say. One, that is trying to take the decision. Second, takes the decision. Third, keeps all the records. And fourth, that gives the consciousness, the energy, the I consciousness. So mana, buddhi, chitta and ahamkara. Here Sri Ramakrishna, when he said man or the mind, all the four. completely merging with the God consciousness. That means our past impressions and our future impressions, our present impressions, everything lost in the God consciousness. Then what remains? Only God consciousness. So that is the main. He says that is called samadhi. When a person is trying to meditate, what is the goal of meditation? Ultimately to go to samadhi. And what is that samadhi? Completely merging with the God consciousness. What is that God consciousness? Joy and complete satisfaction. So this is the ultimate. So sometimes some people, they always say, am I proceeding towards the right goal? I'm practicing this, I'm practicing that. I told you need not to ask questions. Only two things. Just keep an eye on that, whether you are getting it or not. A joy will come automatically. And that is the spiritual joy. And then there will be a satisfaction. You won't need anything else to do anything. That satisfaction completely. So I have seen some people, one of our Swami, the great Swami, he could go to different foreign land. He's a very learned person. He could write books. He could make great name in this world, in our organization. But he is fully satisfied in a small room, constantly living over there. But when he speaks in the monastic gathering, mostly in the monastic gathering, not a very good speaker in that way, impressing the people. But if you listen to him, so much of material in his talk, so much he gives to thought about, the analytical, very clear idea. So that is the way some people when they speak because of the control of the language and they can impress people with that. But ultimately if you find there is not much material in that because they have collected information and given to the world. But this Swami, and the second thing, when I went and invited him, why didn't you come to America, Swami? Oh, America? Oh no, not in this life. Very satisfied if he can visit the birthplace of Sri Ramakrishna and Ma Sharada. That is his highest. If he goes out of the Belur Math, he goes only to Kamarpukur and Jairambati and anywhere. He will go to the Kamarpukur and Jairambati. How could he do that when there was great opportunity for him to go out to mix people? That means he is satisfied. Without that, some people, they don't get the opportunity. They are living over there. That is the difference. And inside the mind constantly they are going on thinking about, but they don't get the opportunity. That is completely different. A beggar and the monk are not same. A beggar is also begging. A monk is also begging for his food, for his shelter. But they are totally different. Why? The monk, the person, he could have many things. He left that. But the beggar was not having anything, compelled to beg. So this is the difference. Satisfaction. I have seen in the life, so many people, they are completely satisfied. When others are successful doing this and that, when they listen, they ask about what you are doing, but very good. Never ever thought about doing that. How it is possible? Because the worldly temptation is completely nil. So this is called the satisfaction. And how it is possible? This pure satisfaction, that is why Sri Ramakrishna said that the samadhi merging in the I consciousness. The jnani experiences jada samadhi in which no trace of I left. Now this is also again the Sri Ramakrishna speciality. He says two different types of samadhi. Through the path of jnana, if you go to the samadhi, then the I consciousness won't be there. I am meditating, that consciousness won't be there. It will be completely merged into that. But those who are following the path of bhakti, they also get the samadhi. Also merges with the God. Or what type of? Chetana samadhi. One is jada. Jada means inert. Their body becomes just inert. Another is chetana. Chetana samadhi, they're conscious. And what about? That I am the Son of God. I am the servant of God. They completely remain and live in that consciousness. For them, there is nothing else left. So that is also samadhi. The servant-master relationship, lover and beloved relationship, the son and the father relationship, in that they are remaining continuously all through their life, 24 hours, every moment. They never think that there is anything else except God. That is also samadhi. There's also one-pointed merging with the ideal. So that is what Sri Ramakrishna said. Now the Pandit, he is asking a question. Then we can understand. When we read books, we think that we have understood. But when we have not realized that truth, there remains some lackings in that knowledge. So here the Pandit, he is asking Sri Ramakrishna, what will happen if God dissolve all of the I? As because Sri Ramakrishna said, the I merges with the God and he becomes jada, like an inert. The Pandit is now thinking, if all I merges, then automatically this world won't remain. It will be completely dissolved. So what will happen about the... So he is thinking about the world. What will happen if God dissolves all of the I, if he changes the enjoyer himself into sugar? Sri Ramakrishna gives that example. Sri Ramakrishna smiling. Because even the Pandit, even the scholarly person couldn't understand the power of Maya, the deluded minds of the millions of people. It is not that everyone will get that samadhi and the creation will stop in that way. So he said, come. So you need not to bother about that. That world will remain. Then he was asking, see Narada, Shanaka, Sananda, Sanatana, they're all people, they were there, isn't it? They were realized soul. All these names that Sri Ramakrishna mentioned, they were all realized souls. But at the same time, they were remaining in this world. They were roaming all around and inspiring people to follow the path of religion. Pandit, yes sir, they do. Sri Ramakrishna, though they were jnanis, yet they kept the eye of the bhakta. Haven't you read the Bhagavata? Sri Ramakrishna, he was very fond of Bhagavata. Have you not read that Bhagavata? We are studying Bhagavata, but we are not yet reading the stories of the Bhagavata. So there are many anecdotes of their stories, that their lives are there. We are only choosing the conversation based on the knowledge part in the Bhagavata. So Pandit said, I have read only part of it, not the whole. Master, pray to God. He is full of compassion. Will he not listen to the words of his devotee? He is Kalpataru. You will get whatever you desire from him. Is the page 479. So of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. There I am reading Sri Ramakrishna said, Kalpataru. See, these are the words of Sri Ramakrishna. Sometimes some people come with their problems. I always say, pray to God. Not that I am telling. Believing the words of Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna, I always tell them that instead of telling me, go straight to the shrine, sit over there and talk to the God and say, you have said this, so please prove it in my life. This is the prayer. It will come, not that it won't, it will surely. But sometimes also, some of the prayers that we pray, not knowing very clearly if that is answered, if we get the result of that prayer, whether that will be good for us or not. We sometimes pray for this and for that, but we do not know whether that will be good for us or not. Arjuna prayed to Krishna, his friend and God, that please allow me to leave this field, the war field, so that I can survive all alone, begging like a Brahmin. That prayer was not granted by the God. Why? Because all people, there Sri Krishna himself has given the answer, the people will criticize you. A man like you, Arjuna, all through the life, as long as this sun and moon will remain, people will criticize you and tell you that he was a coward. They will never appreciate that you have given up all those things, that this is not the time. See, the prayer was not granted by God because that was not good for the devotee. Similarly, sometimes when we come and pray, the God is not granting our prayer. Know it for sure, it is not good for us. But Sri Ramakrishna is very confident. He said, pray to God. He is full of compassion. Will he not listen to the words of his devotee? Then the Pandit is telling, I haven't thought deeply about these things before, but I now understand. I understand now. That this Pandit and this, whoever came to Sri Ramakrishna, became little humble. They improved their spiritual life. Many came. Sri Ramakrishna himself, the God himself, went to them, wanted to inspire them, to guide them in the path of the spirituality. But because of their ego, they could not receive the guidance of God. But some of the people who were blessed because they were humble, so they came, they listened, and they were benefited spiritually. Sri Ramakrishna is telling, God keeps a little of I in his devotee even after giving him the knowledge of Brahman. This knowledge of Brahman. What is the knowledge of Brahman? We will be maybe studying afterwards all the Vedantic conception, Vedantic books, Brahma Sutra, the lot of discussion about the Brahman we will find there. It's consciousness. In one word we can say, it's the consciousness. And it's a feeling of existence. It's a feeling of knowledge. It's a feeling of joy. Indirectly, we can understand that these are the things, because where from this will come? If I am not having from my original trait, the creator, I will never get this thing in me. That's for sure. Out of still, another still is coming. Not from a soft thing. From the sugar, sweets are coming. So obviously anything that is sweet must be having the sugar, a component in it. So when we are having these ideas of feeling of existence, we like to survive. No one wants to die. A feeling of that. Feeling to get the joy, bliss, ananda, every time, everywhere, in everything, where from it came. So this is the Brahman, out of which everything has come. You know, the Vedanta, they say it is Brahman. And many other philosophy, they call it in different way. And in general, people, they call it God. That from God everything has come. In the Vedanta, it's very clearly mentioned, Sri Ramakrishna being a Vedantin, he is mentioning about the Brahman, and sometimes also he is mentioned the God. And as he loved to call it, and sometimes he said Mother, the Divine Mother. So the ego after Brahma Jnana. How it is possible? Because just now we read that we merges in that consciousness and not a single trait of ego, the I, remains. But that Brahman, that consciousness, if he wants that a little I should remain in the mind of that devotee, because then only he will be able to work for the betterment of others, go and give them the guidances that remains even after Brahma Jnana. Friends, these are the things are so new, so special. So that is the reason when Sri Ramakrishna once said to the Narendranath Swami Vivekananda, the experiences of this, that is Sri Ramakrishna, surpassed the Veda and Vedanta. Whatever till now recorded as the Veda means the knowledge. This is the revelation in the mind of the rishis. Even that surpassed. New ideas have come. What is the new idea? After the Brahma Jnana also I consciousness is there. This is very new idea. Those who are the philosophers, they will be arguing on the basis of this. But Sri Ramakrishna is very clear that I is the I of the devotee, I of the jnani. It's not the ordinary I. The I that we say is full of ego. And this I, devotee and jnani, two words he mentioned. Always. That is the samannaya. We always fought and we always said the Brahma Jnana only for the jnanis. Sri Ramakrishna said no. This nirvikalpa samadhi is also possible to the path of bhakti. But in that way, they say, I want to remain a little different from the God so that I can spread the message of God. Who kept that I? God Himself. Now, let us give an example over here. This is a very common, those who have read the biography of Swami Vivekananda, you all know that young Narendranath, he was very fond of meditation right from his childhood days. And one day, Sri Ramakrishna asked him, what do you want in the spiritual life? Then naturally he said, I like to go into samadhi, but sometimes I should come up from the samadhi, take little food to maintain this body and again go back to the samadhi. I wanted to have the joy of meditation, remaining in this body, but not doing anything. What was the reaction of his guru, Sri Ramakrishna? He rebuked him immediately. And he said, higher than this concept is also there. Higher than this is also there. What is that? See God, see that Brahman, the living in each and everything. And that is Vijnani. Again and again Sri Ramakrishna used this word Vijnani. There is a higher. Ishavashyam idam sarvam. That was the realization. But where is the practice? You all are closing your eyes and sitting in one place and just enjoying the within your heart and then eating something and then you are passing away. Why then this knowledge? Won't you do something for this world? This is the great message of the present day God. He said you must also. So afterwards, much afterwards, realizing this thing in his own life, Swami Vivekananda said, the goal of the Ramakrishna mission, the motto of the Ramakrishna mission, he said, Atmana Moksha Jagat Hitayo Cha. This is those who are followers of the Ramakrishna mission, you must know, this is the motto of the Ramakrishna mission. Very special motto, fixed by Swami Vivekananda. Atmana Moksha, liberation of one's own self, and Jagat Hitaya Cha, and also for the benefit of the world. So wherever you go, wherever you live, whatever you do, that should give some solace, some encouragement to the people to follow the path of morality, to follow the path of spirituality. So Sri Ramakrishna is mentioning, only a little was left. So he said, eye of the Jnani in order to test the bliss of God and teach people. The God is leaving eye consciousness. Sri Ramakrishna, sometimes those who have read the biography, we know that in the deep meditation, sometimes he used to say, I like to go to his house. Why? A desire. The moment there is a desire, minds come down. Just to keep that body and the mind in this plane of the world so that he can help the people. So he used to very forcefully bringing down the mind from that supreme consciousness. Merging in that means no body consciousness. So automatically the body will fall, body will die. So Sri Ramakrishna is to bring down his mind forcefully. About ours, those who are ordinary or trying to meditate, we know it is so difficult. Mind is constantly in these worldly things. Only maybe for a fraction of a second it will go, and that gives a tremendous joy when we go. And now think about it, whose mind is in major time continuously living in that supreme consciousness, how great was the joy. Now Sri Ramakrishna is giving the example that some people may be able to guide others and some people not. The rishis of the old had timid natures. They were easily frightened. Do you know their attitude? He's asking. It was this, let me somehow get my own salvation. Who cares for others? That is exactly what the young Narendra told. I want to get the liberation. Why should I care for the world? Sri Ramakrishna never liked it. He wanted to make him the world teacher. The hollow piece of a driftwood somehow manages to float, but it sinks if even a bird sits on it. But the Narada and the sages of his kind are like a huge log that not only can float across to the other shore but also can carry many animals and other creatures as well. The steamship itself crosses the ocean and also carries people across. Sri Ramakrishna saw in those days the ships were there. So he is giving that example. Teacher like Narada belong to the classes of Vijnani. See again the word Vijnani. Jnani and Vijnani. Jnani is those who have realized Brahman, but they stopped over there because just they realized it and that ends. Vijnanis are those, after realization, they kept the eye so that they can remain in the body and can help others. And here he is telling, a mere Jnani trembles with fear. He is all the time conscious, because if I do something here and there, I may lose that knowledge. I may once again put my feet into the trap of Maya, so that somehow I should go out of it. It is a joy to merge the mind in the indivisible Brahman through contemplation. Then he said, and it is also a joy to keep the mind on the Leela, the relative, without dissolving it in the absolute. The Sri Ramakrishna, this is very, very unique. All over the Upanishad you read, all the Upanishads, the teachings are only go and merge yourself into the supreme knowledge and be free. But here Sri Ramakrishna is telling, not only through the path of knowledge, but also through the path of devotion, one-pointed devotion. In the Bhagavata also we found that there also teaching is to merge into that. The devotion means complete dedication, one-pointedness to reach to the goal. And here Sri Ramakrishna meant also to joy. It is also a joy to keep the mind on the Leela. Leela means the play of God. All these things that are happening in different places, sometimes misery, sometimes success, sometimes sorrow, sometimes happiness, so many varieties are going on. This is the Leela of God. There's a story of a monk. He came and stayed in the Dakshineshwar. In those days, different type of sadhakas, the practitioners, spiritual practitioners, used to come and stay in the Dakshineshwar. Because the Rani Rashmani, she was a queen, she used to feed these people and to arrange for their stay. So all these people used to come from all over the India, stay over there, practice their spirituality, and environment was so good for their own personal practices. And there was a monk, Sri Ramakrishna observed. He used to go and used to look how these people are behaving. One monk was there. He had a very peculiar way of practicing spirituality. Early morning he will get up and he will go on dancing and chanting the name of God, saying, "Oh God, how great you are. You have created this sky, you have created this river, you have created the sun, you have created the moon," just like that. Whole day, constantly praising that the God has done like that. He could not think of anything else. Sri Ramakrishna was very happy seeing his way of, and that is why whatever he saw, he was happy that God has created that. So by that way, he was remembering God all through anything, the bird, the animal, the river, the nature, the people, whatever that he saw, immediately he was happy, he will dance and sing and praise the God. Somehow to keep the mind in God. So that is what Sri Ramakrishna is telling. Merging with indivisible Brahman, that is also okay, but also keeping in the Leela, the relative without dissolving in the absolute. There's a combination of the Jnana and the Bhakti. A mere Jnani is a monotonous person, Sri Ramakrishna is telling. He is a monotonous person. He cannot say anything. You'll see those who are giving the talk on the Jnana, they only talk about these, in the Vedantic way they say, and then afterwards all monotonous. But he always analyzes saying, it is not this, the world is like a dream. But I have raised both my hands, therefore I accept everything. This is the way of Sri Ramakrishna. I have raised both my hands, I accept everything. The most of the people, they try to follow one path and they spend their whole energy into that and they are exhausted. And when we look at Sri Ramakrishna, we find that he is not only following the path of Jnana, which is so difficult, but at ease he is traveling in the path of Jnana, in the path of Bhakti, in the path of Karma. Do you just imagine the emaciated body, he is taking the help of others, but still going to house, anyone, anywhere, practicing religion. The compassionate God will go to him, to visit him, to rectify, to correct and to guide him properly. Why? Because karma. So he himself is doing that karma. And yoga, all through his mind is Just like the needle, his mind is always on the north. So constantly, completely, the compass, the needle is always on the north. Sri Ramakrishna's mind is always on that Brahman. So friends, we will stop over here today, and afterwards in the next class we will discuss some other things. Let us chant this mantra. Niranjanam Nityam Anantarupam Bhaktanukampa Drita Vigraham Vai Ishavattaram Parameshamidyam Tam Ramakrishnam Shirasa Namama. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Today is a very cold day. Outside it is so cold. Even then that you have come, I am really very happy that you have come. This shows that your love for the spiritual knowledge. May Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna bless you all, is my prayer.